Noise, 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 noise. How do you deal with noise? How do you deal with concentrating on Chinese or something like this when there's noise everywhere? Well, fortunately, there are a couple of things that you can do, and that's what we're going to talk about coming right up. So technology is great. It's created machines that help us do all kinds of things, machines that keep the streets clean and that make us make buildings and yada yada yada. There are even machines that maybe can help us learn a language. By the way, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com, the website devoted to giving you every possible advantage when you're using your memory to learn a language or remember numbers or names or whatever the case may be. And I'd love to have you over there and hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and hit the thumbs up to let me know you're engaged. And when it comes to using your brain to concentrate better, even with a lot of distraction going on, I got a couple of tips for you, things that have really helped me. And the first is really one of the most important, and I know it's going to sound a little bit cliche because you hear it all the time, but actually sometimes the things we hear the most are the ones that bear the most repeating and are the most useful for us, which is that you got to have your attitude in check. And I remember years ago when I was really into listening to Wayne Dyer recordings. There's some wacky woo-woo stuff that he does, but overall I think really powerful, beneficial experience that I went through, basically binging on all of his audio programs that were available at that time. This is around 2008, 2009. I was a film studies professor in Germany and really going through an awakening of sorts, so to speak. And one of the things that he talked about there is how he was working on a book and there was construction going on outside, and he basically got really irritated with it because, he's writing a book and he's reaching millions of people and he's really helping their lives, and he wants to make that book the best possible book that it can be, and outside there's just and all this sort of stuff, and he just decided not to let it bother him. Now that sounds like, yeah, fickle, and okay, we just make a little switch in our brain and we decide that it's not going to bother us anymore. But isn't there truth to that? Can't we at every moment, if we're aware of our irritation, say no to irritation? Can't we do that? Well, of course we can. Now there's a bit of a skill to it. It requires practice. But if you don't really dwell upon and give your attention to the possibility that you actually can choose not to be annoyed, you'll never take that choice. So I think that is a really important thing. And of course, that isn't to say that these things aren't still going to be there and they still aren't going to be irritating, but you can just start with the basics of, I'm not going to let this annoy me. It's really powerful to do that, because then that opens the pathway to, instead of being annoyed and it's like, what are the alternatives here? So one of the things that I started to do back then, because I realized, hey, I have a choice here, and by noticing I have a choice, I realized, I could wear earplugs. And so I started to carry earplugs around with me. And that was very cool. So it didn't matter where I was, I always had the option of dampening the sound. In a library, if people started talking, dampen the sound. In a cafe, if the music was too loud, dampen the sound. But it never would have happened if I hadn't there's banging going on over there now. If I hadn't had that option raised in my mind by someone pointing it out, hey, you have a choice. In this case, Wayne Dyer. And so really powerful. The other thing is to work on meditation, right? If you don't have a meditation practice in your life, you're really missing out on huge memory benefits. If you want, there's a link in the description below where I share with you much of the science. There's way too much science to put on a single blog post or podcast episode, but I collected there some of the best so that you can go over it, and if you're skeptical of meditation being a worthy investment, that's going to help you get off the fence and get onto the meditation side of the field, because life is just better with regular meditation. And you know what? The science shows that you actually don't have to do nearly as much meditation as it might seem, because often people, they get in mind this, oh, well, I have to meditate 1,000,000 times. No, you don't, actually. It turns out you can just meditate, well, go and check that resource out and look at the science, because the investment is much smaller than it seems. Along with meditation, something that you can do while you're not meditating but practice during meditation is to practice on your breathing. Focus on your breathing and practice breathing. It's a very, very, very powerful, wonderful, amazing thing that will change everything in your life if you can get hold of your breath. So one simple thing that you can do that I love to do, it's called psychic nostril alternating breathing, or psychic alternate nostril breathing. There's different ways that you'll see it around the world, and people talking about it with different terms. But basically the idea is that you're mentally pretending to breathe in one nostril and breathe out the other. You can do it manually, it's kind of funny. Maybe some people here will see me doing it, but you go like this, it's like cocaine. And then it really, really works to do it both ways. And you're concentrating, focusing on guiding the direction and the flow of your breath, which focuses your attention on the present moment. And if you have that going on throughout your day, you're gonna have a much smoother ride, especially if you're a person like me who's just got the chips stacked against you in terms of food, sensitivities, and all kinds of issues, let's call them, right? And then you just have this flow, this balance, because you can return to your breath anytime that you want. And that's a great way to do it, is just think, I'm breathing in through the left nostril and out the right nostril, in through the right nostril, out the left nostril. It's a form of breathing meditation that you can do while you're listening to people talk and still openly engage in a conversation with them. Feel calm and relaxed and cool. And then when loud noises come, you don't really get all that bumped out of place in the first place, which you also will not get all that irritated if you have a regular meditation practice, and if you have I have the choice to not be irritated, mythology or philosophy or whatever you want to call it, that you just have this choice that you've developed for yourself. Not a mythology, but a basic general personal creed. And I would suggest that as being the last thing that you do, is develop a creed of non-irritation. Just not getting irritated. Will some things come in life that irritate you? Yes, of course. But you can reduce this to a bare minimum. And what ends up happening, and here's the benefit for memory, is that when you want to focus on information, when you want to remember things, and you want to remember them for the long term, you're actually going to be more present to the information, and the interruption that leads to you forgetting is going to be much easier to manage and handle, because you've decided that there is a difference, and you're going to craft better space around it. And you'll be equipped with tools, like maybe you'll have in your backpack some earplugs, so you can have the silence that really, really rewards concentration. You're going to have the focus that really, really rewards the retention of information, so that you're able to learn and remember whatever it is that you are focusing on. And I hope that you're learning and remembering information and focusing on information that's going to change and improve your life. And if this video helped you in any way, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. Hit up those links down below. There's one in particular about the science of meditation that I am confident is going to help you a great, great deal. And come visit me generally at magneticmemorymethod.com. Until we have a chance to speak again, keep yourself magnetic.